Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Higher or Lower, brought to you by oddschecker, Sporting Index and SpreadX. This is the show where we look ahead to the weekend's football and we say if we think the eventual results of certain spread betting markets will end higher or lower than the midpoint with SpreadX and Sporting Index. I'm your host, George Ellick. I'm delighted. This is quite a serious start to the show today.
Yeah.
Quite polished, if I might say so myself. Joined by Dan Worth and by Jack Wright. Guys, Comunicado Oficial.
Yeah.
I am the only person on this panel to have ever had a perfect week.
You are.
And I've done it twice.
Two, yeah.
I think I'm now the only person on this panel to have had a swing and a miss.
You have. I've got you a
Wrong
present.
side of... Oh, here we go. Is it a bagel?
Oh, it could have been a bagel.
Oh.
It's a donut.
It's a donut.
Close. Same shape.
Thank you very much. There you go.
Yeah.
So
Good to see. I will eat that later.
And I'll expect the same next week when I get 0 this week.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, apologies to those who followed me in bad week. How did you guys get on? I guessed quite well. So I felt like
Yeah. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't groundbreaking.
the only issue is your job, apart from drawing up the running order and being on the show, is also to come up and give us a leaderboard.
Yeah,
And you
I
still-
can do that. Jack and I actually spent the international break coming up with an approach to it.
Did you back channel me?
No, you just didn't reply.
I absolutely did.
Well, we followed your suggestion.
So you've done the midpoint.
So we've done the midpoint.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel we could have had this conversation possibly behind closed
Oh
doors.
no,
but-
because I thought I wasn't gonna. Okay, yeah, go on.
But it's okay.
All right.
One of us is in minus and two of us are in plus, and we can talk
Okay.
about that next week.
No, we can talk about it now.
Jack and I think I'm plus 22 and you're plus 27 points,
Nice.
and you are a few under.
Go on.
I don't have it in front of me.
Right,
but
fine.
It's
Okay.
It's not a ridiculous amount. It's
Okay.
just a couple points.
Okay, well, let's get into this weekend's action then, without further ado. And we are kicking off with Southampton against Manchester United. The total goals market, so the total amount of goals within the game. The midpoint here with SpreadX is 3.1. So if you're going lower, you think there will be 3 or fewer goals, but probably fewer than 3. Higher would be 4 or more. 3, 2, 1. What's happened there?
Wow.
That's weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was looking there and thinking, hang on.
Normally, the person who is on their own goes first, but I think in this occasion, because...
Such a surprise.
Yeah, Dan, I think you should lead us.
Well, neither of these teams are exactly banging them in this season, are they?
Yet.
Yeah, United have scored twice and Southampton once. I mean, Southampton need to change. United need to change. I don't know. I say in the last few episodes, if it's under 3, I'll go higher. This one being over 3. 4 goals feels quite high for these two teams. Both pretty poor going forward, or from what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I actually think that we'll see quite a similar game to Man United's opening fixture against Fulham.
I kind of agree.
And that
Pretty
was
end-to-end.
1-0, but United could have probably scored more, and in fact Fulham probably could have got on the score sheet. But yeah, I think it will be quite tight. Southampton, already thinking when are our first points coming. They'll be keen to keep it tight. Obviously, this needs taken with a pinch of salt, and you're probably going to laugh at it. But under 2.5 in the last 4 between these two sides in competitions, but obviously nothing.
Well, what about
Incredibly
what about that
recently.
incredible game where United changed their kit at half time back in 1997?
Yeah,
Is that another big part to play? Was it 7? What was it?
there was also a 9-0 not that long ago, but too far long ago that it didn't come
Fine.
into mind.
So only some historical data matters.
Yeah, the most recent 4
Fine.
matter.
Okay. Jack?
A couple of things for me. Timing of the game.
Okay.
Lunchtime kickoff on Saturday after an international break always rings a little bit of alarm bells. It could be a low scorer for me, especially with these two sides on display. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 0-0 at half time, which then means there's a lot of work to be done in the second half to make this go higher. I feel Saints have proven week after week at the moment that they're this year's version of Burnley, playing that attractive football that's not quite getting them anywhere. They're very blunt in attack. I just don't know really where they're going to be scoring plenty of goals from. I'm not sure they've got the quality to do that. Man United, I think we'll have to do the heavy lifting in this if this is going to go higher, but they can't finish the dinner at the moment. And I think they will get chances here, so it's a case of whether they're going to take them or not. Obviously, Xerxes and Fernandes scored on national duty, but they've missed loads of chances so far this season. Can they come good here, possibly so, but I say I don't think Southampton can add to it enough for this to go higher. So I say for me to get 0, 1, 2 and 3 on board, it's lower. So yeah, that's the one for me.
Yeah, interesting. I kind of think, and I take on board what both of you are saying in terms of their attacking output, but I think defensively both are really relatively poor. I think with Saints, I still think they're going to be a side who concede a lot of goals this season, and just because they haven't necessarily conceded loads in the first 3 games, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to that. You've got a game against Newcastle on opening day where Newcastle had a man sent off relatively early. A home game against Forest, which should be one of their easiest 3 or 4 games of the season, which they lost. And then away at Brentford, where we saw them concede 3. I think when it comes to Saints playing against the better attacks in the league, they are going to ship goals because of the way that they play. And even though United have I have worries about them generally, I still think that you have to anticipate that they should have enough attacking quality to threaten these kind of teams. You mentioned that you think it'll be similar to the game against Fulham. I definitely agree. Against Fulham, United had loads of chances in the game. It was relatively end-to-end. It was kind of almost basketball style in the way that the game developed. And even though it only finished 1-0, that didn't reflect, I don't think, the 24 shots that we saw in the game, United's XG over 2. So, yeah, this is partly because I think Saints, I wouldn't buy too much into the kind of the goals data that we have so far with Southampton. I think we're going to see that unravel a little bit. And generally, when there are 2 teams who have bad defences, I kind of think that is the more pertinent point rather than 2 teams who have struggled from an attacking standpoint. Also, you say United can't finish their dinner. That's true. But again, I would say the fact that they're creating chances, not putting them away, is more of an indication to me that that's something we'll click from an attacking point of view relatively soon. So yeah, I mean, it's quite a high line, I guess. You need 4 goals. But we know that Saints aren't going to sacrifice the way that they play. United's games, last 2 games, had 3 in each. And I'm willing to stick by my guns and say that this Saints, the defensive record of Southampton come January, for example, I think they would have conceded the most goals in the league. Next up is Aston Villa against Everton. Total goal minutes here. 156 is the midpoint with SpreadX. So this is the total cumulative minutes that goals are scored within the game. So if one is scored in the 5th minute and one in the 50th minute, it would make up 55, for example. 156 is the midpoint here with SpreadX. So we're going higher or lower. 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness gracious me!
On the iron again.
I'll lead here. I think Villa to 0 is kind of the outright bet, so the game bet I would have here. I think Everton has started the season pretty poorly. I think if we look at Villa, for the most part, last season their home form was incredibly strong, but they won a fair few of those games 2-0, albeit they did rack up a decent score in most of those. This is more to do with Everton's attacking struggles. We saw them beaten in all 3 of their games so far, 4-0 in their only away game so far against the uber-attacking Tottenham. And in my mind, Everton aren't a side who necessarily, when the chips are down, come out and start trying to attack relentlessly. And my vision for the way this game will go is that Villa take the lead relatively early and probably ride it out fairly comfortably. With goal minutes, you need late goals, and I often think that tighter games are the ones where you see late goals because both teams are throwing caution to the wind, whereas here, I could see Villa seeing this out with relative ease. Why am I wrong, Jack?
I'm trying to assess we play these markets quite regularly, and I kind of assess them while I'm in play with them, going, how do I feel comfortable about being higher or lower, and trying to set my benchmarks in the teams I would like to have onside or not. And I just feel for these 2 sides, this line's just a little bit low. We've seen some super high lines recently, and this is way under that. Yeah. And so I think this is worth attacking from my point of view. I'd actually fancy goals at both ends in it, so that's where my first disagreement with you is. Yeah. And I do fancy Villa to nick it, but they've only won 4 of their last 12 at home. They've got a very even split, 1-4, drawn 4, lost 4. So I do think they will nick this one. But Everton have been just conceding so many late goals. That's been their main trend, I think, for me. So you look at the Villa minutes this season, they've all been the first 2 under this, and then 1 was over. And all the Everton ones have been over, mainly because of their late goals, as I said. They've conceded in 77th minute, 87th minute twice, and then 2 goals in added on time as well. Yeah. This was 4-0 last season. There's not too much dissimilar from the the two sides. That was 1-6-8. And Villa have conceded in each of their last 5 at home as well. So and only 1 clean sheet in 12. And those games have averaged 4 per game. So on that basis, I think there will be goals in it, with Everton conceding the most goals in the Premier League so far this season. So yeah, that's the reason I've gone with higher.
Good stuff, Dan.
Yeah, not much to add. Been late goals in all 3 of Villa's games this season, whether it's them scoring or conceding. And Everton are fresh off that 3-7-4 makeup last time out, which is obviously
Unbelievable.
more than double
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we need here. I think lots of goals and then 1 late goal would probably steer us over.
Easy as that.
Should be.
Okay, lovely stuff. Bournemouth hosting Chelsea is our next game. This is first Chelsea goal we're looking at here. We're Sporting Index, this one. So this is the time that Chelsea scored their first goal. 44.5 is the midpoint here. So if you're going lower, you're basically saying you think Chelsea will score in the first half. If you're going higher, you're basically saying that you don't think Chelsea will score in the first half. It's as simple as that. If they score in injury time in the first half, I think you have a good case to complain about a bad beat. but you're basically breaking even with the way that spread betting works anyway, so you should be okay. First Chelsea goal, we're going higher or lower? 3, 2, 1. Finally. Dan?
Yeah, Chelsea have scored in the opening half of all bar 1 of the last 5.
Okay.
So I just see it happening again here. Bournemouth have only conceded in the first half once this season, though, which was against Nottingham Forest. But I'm thinking Chelsea come flying out of the traps here. We've talked at length, really, over the last few episodes about Chelsea's attack and what that might look like this season. And obviously there are a lot of options there. Palmer didn't play in the international break, so I'm hoping he's going to be fully fit, ready to go. Chelsea have scored at least 2 goals in 5 of their last 6 against Bournemouth. So I'm just hoping one of them comes in the first half.
Lovely stuff. Jack?
Yeah, Bournemouth for me, 2 clean sheets in the last 11 at home. So I think they're a side that you would suggest, again, they're an attacking side under Iraola. They like to get on the front foot, they like to play. They're not a side that you would suggest are going to look to make it hard for Chelsea, sit deep and soak it up. So that will play into this being a pretty open game from the get-go. I believe last year was 0-0 here, wasn't it? But I think it was one of them games that in-play bettors probably would have lost regularly. Of course, it was a mad one, wasn't it? It should have been probably 3-3, ended 0-0. But I'd suggest probably that Chelsea have got the best stable of attackers in the Premier League. I know they've got about 412 to choose from, but getting the right mix of that is probably their main problem. But it started well this season, of course. They had a crazy game away at Wolves. I'm not going to say that's going to follow a trend, but I think they're better suited to being away from home than at home, and certainly it seemed like Bournemouth when they can go and have plenty of space to play in. So, yeah, I think this one looks to me like I certainly expect an early goal and Chelsea getting on board with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be rushing to back Bournemouth. This isn't like a particularly pro-Chelsea stance. It's just the way that Chelsea play and the way that the game, I think, will unravel. Like, Iraola is a manager who is definitely front-footed. He's not going to look to set up Bournemouth to defend, and I think his Bournemouth side will cause Chelsea some real issues. But that will come at a cost, and that will come at it being a relatively end-to-end game. We know that Chelsea are relentlessly attacking. We know that the attacking threat that they've got. They've also got players in really good form, playing in attacking areas too. And it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a few goals in the first half, of which Chelsea will get one of them. So it seems to me like, and especially with knowing how Enzo Maresca sets his team up, it's going to be expansive. It's going to be fairly chaotic, but also very expansive, and that normally leads to chances. So I expect Chelsea to cause Bournemouth problems. I expect Bournemouth to cause Chelsea problems, but I think it could yield a goal, especially in the first half. NLD time now. Surely the game of the weekend. Arsenal travelling to Tottenham. We're looking at the supremacy market here with Sporting Index. So this is the total amount of goals that the favourite beat the underdog by. Arsenal are the favourites, so it's Arsenal over Spurs. 0.45 is a midpoint. So lower would mean that you are after a draw or a Spurs win. Higher would be an Arsenal victory. So we're going higher or lower at 0.45 at Sporting Index. 3, 2, 1.
All aboard.
Agree.
All aboard the Spurs train.
You lads are the same.
We are.
Every single time.
We need to
Every
stop talking
single
about it off air, don't
Oh,
we?
we'd still.
You backtracking again. Have you got your own little group?
Yeah, we do. We meet up
Yeah.
once a week, a few beers.
Yeah, I'm busy.
talk about
I'm
it.
busy. I'm busy.
Sorry.
I'm busy. Every day.
Forever.
This is true.
I can't believe you bought me a donut.
Can't believe you got one.
I know. Bagel would have been cheaper as well. Arsenal, you can probably expense it.
Oh, 75p, mate. I think I'll front it.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Especially after my winners last week.
Come in, that's true.
I've got 75p's to spare.
That's true. 75p's. Tottenham, Arsenal. I mean, a big part of this has to be team news, isn't it?
I think so.
Yes.
Odegaard out, Rice suspended. So that is going to significantly impact what Arsenal are able to put out. Also, just think Spurs are a very good side, and especially with Spurs having home advantage. I think this is a game where arguably Arteta will go into it probably thinking that they'll be going to win, but a draw wouldn't be the worst result.
I think they'd take a draw.
Yeah.
I think they'd take a draw right now.
Yeah. Any stats to back it up for us, or is it a vibes pick for you?
Oh, no, I think what you said there, I didn't mean to interrupt. But,
No, it's good.
Yeah,
I
I think pretty much the same things. I think the key issue here is who does Arteta, fresh with his new contract in his pocket, who does he put in that midfield? I think the general consensus is Havertz dropping back, which then I think really impacts them in that forward area because they haven't really got a decent replacement for him in that part of the pitch. So if Tottenham can win this midfield battle, then I think they've got a massive chance. They've got a super strong home record. They've won 10 of their last 13 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So only won this season, admittedly, against Everton was 4-0. And yeah, when you look at Arsenal, they've been giving up chances. They won those 2 games. With the 2 wins, David Raya was man of the match. So I think that that points to the fact they've been potentially a little bit fortunate to be where they're at this moment in time. And so they're going forward. They haven't looked as sharp as you'd expect. Their expected goals isn't super strong considering they've had 2 home games. So yeah, I think Solanke coming in, assuming he's fit, talk was that he was going to be rested up for this one, will be vital. Provides that link, and I think you will get the best out of Son, obviously reverting to his best position. And also we saw the link up with Harry Kane, and I think that sort of setup will serve him well. So yeah, that's where I'm going with that one.
Dan?
Yeah, completely agree. I think Tottenham will be feeling quite confident, particularly, well, without the injuries, but with the injuries even more so. And I think Arsenal will be looking at this like, obviously, they're not looking at this as a title decider, but if they do lose here, they've got Man City next. Like, they really don't want to be, 6+ points behind Man City after only, a handful of games. So I agree with what both of you said, is that I honestly think Arsenal would be pretty chuffed with a draw here. Because I'm not really coming at this market, which I know is a bit poor to say, because obviously I'd love Tottenham to win, having gone lower, but I'd say I'm leaning more towards it being a draw than, for example, if it was fixed odds, I'm not sure I'd back Tottenham to win, but I'd probably back the draw.
Nice. Backing the draw. That's not the last time we're going to talk about that game.
Ooh, suspense.
Oh,
Bit of a hint.
wow.
Fine. We'll go. The last game we're gonna cover before we get on to our best bets of the weekend is Wolves against Newcastle, and it's a new market for us.
Hey.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness gracious
What an
me!
exciting one too, hey?
Rainbow goals. So rainbow. This means basically that points are awarded based on the following rules. So if there are 0 goals or 5 or more goals in the game, 25 points.
Whoa.
If there are 1 or 4 goals in the game, 10 points.
Yeah.
If there are 2 or 3 goals in the game, 0 points.
0.
So the midpoint here is 10. So
Yeah.
it's basically breaking even if there are 1 or 4 goals. If you're going higher, you're either cheering the 0-0, or as soon as a goal goes in, you're like, I need 5.
Goal fest.
Lower, you're like, I'm going to bank on there being 2 or 3, and then 1 or 4 is flat. Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Spot on.
Okay.
Well explained.
Thank you very much. Everyone ready?
Yeah, as well will be.
3, 2, 1.
Hey!
Wow.
Yeah, let's go for it.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Generally don't know.
Is this 0-0 or goals?
It could be either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it could.
That is the beauty of the rainbow.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So, yeah, look, it's a real tough market to try and work out. I thought, well, we'll take the push in the middle.
Yeah.
There. A bit boring to go for the 2 or 3 in it. So I've gone for the 0-0. I think Newcastle have been sluggish. If they click, this could be anything. Wolves have shown that they can implode as well, but we do know that they have got them defensive resoluteness about them if it works for them. the defensive process looks okay if you actually dig into the detail of expected goals and what they're doing. But of course, this massively swayed by the fact they got thumped 6-2 by Chelsea. But in that game, they showed they actually had some decent stuff going forward. They could have been well ahead at points of that game. So, do you know what? I could see it being 0-0 or something quite exciting. This was 2-2 last season here. I think Wolves are a little bit weaker than they were last season. And I think for me, Isaac's the key in this game. He scored in both times he's played against Wolves, and Wilson scored both goals in that 2-2 draw. So the central striker's had a bit of a field day against Wolves recently for Newcastle. So, I wouldn't say this is my strongest selection, but I'm going with it because I think there's some upside there, and I've gone with the punt.
Dan, is this your strongest selection?
No. No, I actually thought the content would be much more fun, but then I realised that
Well, just because
of
the word,
this is a push. So.
the word rainbow.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I was going to say, this is definitely not going to be a 0-0 in my eyes. Obviously,
Yeah.
I can't predict the future, but I don't think it will be a 0-0. So do I want to be needing 5+ goals to cash this? Not really.
You love goals.
I do love goals, but 5 is quite high.
What a day.
And we haven't really seen, bar the Wolves game with Chelsea.
Just the 8 in that one.
Just the 8 in that one, yeah. God,
And this is Super Sunday, don't forget.
I'm excellent at my own undoing here, aren't I?
It's not on the lights though.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, I mean the weather is 4:30 at the moment is.
Yeah. There's been fewer than 5 goals in all of the last 6 meetings with these two, which comes as no surprise because, 5 is a lot. 4 when they last met at Molineux. I'm hoping for 2 or 3, but in reality, this is probably going to end up as a push for me, I think. So I'll do better with the market selections next week.
So, if you look at the correct score market on oddschecker for this game, favourite 7-1 1-all, then 9-1 2-1, then 2-all 11-1, then 12-1 2-1 Wolves, 12-1 1-0 Newcastle, 14-1 2-0 Newcastle, 16-1 1-0 Wolves, 16-1 Newcastle 3-1. So there you've got the top 8 in the market running for you.
Yeah.
If
What was
you
0-0?
if you go lower, 0-0 20-1 best
Is
price.
it really?
Yeah.
That's worth £1.
Yeah. I mean it's as short as 12-1, that's why you should use oddschecker. But yeah, best price 20-1. So like just playing, and obviously you're backing it at odds on because you're basically betting 15 points to win 10 points, whereas you're betting 10 points to win 15 points.
Yeah.
But it still just feels like playing the probabilities. It's got to be an
How
under.
can you be so sensible in the rainbow?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I've seen the rainbow in the distance, and I'm like, I'm not going to bother going there. There's no pot of gold. I'm just going to. Yeah. So
We'll see.
I'm afraid I am going lower and just playing the maths.
I'm just looking forward to seeing how it pans out.
Goodness me.
No, there's no pun. That was just general
Thought
way of...
panning for gold under the rainbow.
No.
It was delivered with such like a way.
No.
Okay.
It's just there, inbuilt.
Yeah.
Fine. Right. That's that.
Is that.
That's that bombshell. Next up, it's our best bets of the weekend. Dan Worth.
NLD,
Oh,
Oh, me too.
not the same market. Well, I don't know what your market is. Maybe it's the same market.
My market is. What's yours?
to be revealed.
Well, mine, it doesn't, probably won't come as a surprise. It's the player goal.
Player goal
market.
minutes. Yeah, same as me.
Oh.
No, it's not.
And I'm going for Heung-min Son, a buy of
Shock.
his goal minutes at 20. I actually wanted to do player performance, but I didn't leave enough time to prepare that, so I've gone for goal minutes.
Yeah.
He's played 18 times against Arsenal in the league and scored 7 goals with 2 assists. The 2 assists were sort of my reasoning for the performance, but there we go.
Fine.
Scored in 4 of the last 5 home matches against Arsenal, which is quite a nice return. 2 goals already this season. And a key thing with this market that we spoke about more last season than this is he's going to play 90 minutes. If Solanke is fit, as you mentioned, Jack, he'll be playing in his preferred position against one of his preferred opponents. 20's quite low for a forward. Goals from Son after the 20th minute, ideally.
Lovely stuff. I'll give you a second yellow in a row.
Oh,
Because I'm getting my cards out
Whoa.
this time. I'm looking at one of those crazy markets where, like, please stake accordingly because it can unravel a little bit. But I'm looking at cross bookings, and I'm buying at 760.
what a market.
So this is the total booking points of Team A multiplied by total booking points of Team B. So if either team don't have a booking, it makes up 0, and that would be a 760-point loss. So please, if you are following me in here, just stake accordingly. Make sure you can work out how much you can afford to lose based off a 760-point loss. There might be a penny, fair enough. Like it's a high spread, but this is firstly, NLD is like a proper. There are derbies and there are derbies, and this is one where there is no love lost between the two whatsoever. I also think with the current managers in charge and Arteta and Postecoglou, you've got two. Back when it was, I remember the Jose games and I think there was one where Rob Holding was sent off and it was quite lively. But like when Jose was in charge of Spurs and they played against Arsenal, he just sat like unbelievably deep, and Arsenal just dominated the ball in their half, and it was like fairly like one-sided. Whereas now you've got two managers who I think instill like a level of confidence and definitely an aggression off the ball, but should mean that this is pretty feisty when it comes to bookings. In recent times, both teams have been booked, I think, in all of the last like 6 or 7 of these games, so it hasn't made up 0 in any of those or 0 in any of those. Last time out, it was a bit tetchy because there were only 3, and the first was in the 77th minute. But if we look back further than that, there were 3 times 4, so 1,200 back in September 23. There were 4 and 2, so 800 the time before, and then in the 2 before that, Emerson Royale was sent off in 2 versus 35 basically, and then Rob Holding was sent off in the one before that. So there are red cards in these 2. Jared Gillett is the referee.
Struth.
What is, yeah, indeed, the Aussie. What's weird about this is I went back, like firstly, he's pretty good for cards. Like looking at his card record recently, he gave 6 in Chelsea's game against Crystal Palace last time out, 4 Arsenal Wolves, 4 Leeds Norwich, 8 Spurs Burnley in his last visit to the Tottenham Stadium. But I've gone back like a long way in his history, and I don't think he's ever been given like a proper Premier League derby game before, which is interesting. And it slightly worries me because you do get some refs who seem to completely change the way they referee derby games, and they keep their cards in their pocket in order to ensure that it doesn't go crazy. But there's enough in his recent past to suggest to me that he's someone who has no issue getting his cards out to control games. And like sometimes if you look at La Liga this weekend and have a look at some of the games that you'll see there, like especially a Getafe game or something like that, where you'll see, look, Sevilla Getafe, bookings aren't out yet. I promise that will be like 1,400 to buy, like double the spread for this, because generally La Liga games are higher. And I think this is one time and one game where often things can get out of control with a lot on the line. So that is one that I am urging caution, but I think it could be one that spirals.
Yeah. Makeshift midfield, that's going to help you as well.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Entering action.
Especially yeah.
And look at the players on show. Geez, there's like so many walking yellow cards in that
Yes.
that game in there. So.
Has Ben White already been booked?
I've just heard not quite yet.
Fine.
Coming up.
Coming
up. Final warning.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, how about we could go on.
What's yours?
I'm in a card market as well.
Yes.
I'm going to Brighton versus Ipswich, not physically, but in the context of the bet. And I'm focusing on Ipswich cards here, and specifically one of their players in the player card minutes market. And I'm going for Sam Morsey. You'll be shocked to hear.
Morse code.
Indeed so. Morse code for a yellow card. And the midpoint is 24. So I'm going high here. So basically, as you'd expect in a minutes market, if he gets booked in the 10th minute and nothing else, then that settles as 10. If he gets a red card, that is doubled. So if he was booked in the 10th minute and then again in the 90th minute, that 90th minute red card, be it a second yellow or straight red, would count as 180.
Wow.
Okay. Obviously, added on time in either end of the half counts as either 45 or 90. We've got a referee here in Sam Barrott. Relatively experienced at Premier League level, 17 Premier League games in his history. 2 this season. The game before that, you might have been interested in. He was in charge of the League One playoff final. Did a great job.
Didn't even notice he was there.
No, 4 yellow cards for Bolton, 1 for Oxford. So,
what a man. And also he let Sam Long crunched Paris Magoma after 10 seconds, and he saw it for the great tackle that it was.
Right, okay. Let's hope that doesn't transpire into Sam Morsey. But the size in question, Ipswich have had 8 yellows this season so far, which is the joint highest in the Premier League. There are about 9 sides that have had 8 yellow cards so far, admittedly. Brighton, number 1, as far as the bookings average is concerned, points against them, 40 booking points against them up as an average. 7 yellows and 2 reds. 2 reds already in 3 games. Ashley Young, first one in Everton. I think it was Declan Rice. I don't know if you heard about that one in Arsenal.
Yes,
game against
yes,
Bournemouth. That was the last one. So
I saw a clip.
Yeah, yeah, you might have heard about it. So as far as Morsley's concerned, he's had 2 yellow cards already this season. I think his style of play in the middle of the park may not be to the Premier League referees' liking, to be fair. And so his 2 yellow cards have come in the first half as well, 36 and 37 this season. But looking across his time at Ipswich since joining the club, in 21-22 when he joined when they were in League One, 11 yellows in 34 games. 22-23, 12 yellows in 44 games. Last season, it upped again in the Championship, 14 yellows in 42 games. I don't think that's a coincidence because he's potentially not a Premier League standard player. Might be saying that, but it's 39 in 122 games, an average of a yellow card every 3.12 games. So, and Barrett's booked Morsey on 3 previous occasions, the last of which being the opening game of last season at Sunderland in the 62nd minute. So I'll take that.
Lovely stuff. Morse code for cards.
It is beep beep,
Beep
dash
beep,
dash.
beep beep. Cheers, guys. As ever, hopefully it's not another donut for me, although I'm looking forward to eating that this afternoon.
Yep.
Thank you for your selections. Thank you guys for watching as well. We'll be back again next week to look ahead to the weekend's fixtures, and hopefully Dan will have got the leaderboard sorted by then and I'll be out of the red. Make sure you check out Sporting Index and SpreadX for all of your spread betting needs. Do read up on spread betting before you get involved because losses can exceed your initial deposit, and please do ensure you're staking accordingly and within what you can afford, especially as I mentioned for those really volatile ones. It's important to make sure you understand what those are before getting stuck in. If you click on the link in the description below, there's a new customer offer for SpreadX and Sporting Index customers who haven't already got an account. Make sure you check out oddschecker for your fixed odds betting needs, and WhoScored have you covered, whoscored.com I should say, have you covered for all of your stats stuff as well. Enjoy the weekend's football. We'll see you next week, and please do ensure that you're gambling responsibly.